What do you think would happen if you took a highly ranked solo queue player who's reached as high as Master Tier or even Challenger, and you put them into a pro team scrim set for the first time in their life? Would that player's skills translate well, and do you think they'll be able to hold their own up against the pro players? Well, the answer to that is yes, but also no. You see, a highly ranked solo queue player in many categories has a similar level of skill compared to veteran pro players and can keep up with them most of the time. It's only with the nuances of coordinated team play that the pro players will start to pull ahead. In this video, we'll see exactly this happen, as we watch some of solo queue's highest ranked players test their skills for the first time in pro level scrim sets. We'll break down how pro players are able to dismantle the average solo queue player without these players even understanding what's happened to them, and we'll even see how some good decisions we make in solo queue no longer hold up to be good decisions anymore when playing in coordinated team play.
My name's Rogue and I played League of Legends professionally for 7 years. Now I'm a full-time content creator and coach for all ranks iron through to Challenger. So if you want more information of what a coaching session with me will look like, you can find more information by following the link in the video description below.
While you're in the description, you'll also find the link to my Patreon, where I post all of the recordings of my best coaching sessions in full. With collections sorted by role and rank, including sessions where I've coached for professional level teams, you can get a glimpse into what pro level League of Legends look like from the inside. No matter what you're looking for, you'll easily be able to find something that's going to help you improve, no matter your rank. The first thing you'll notice when playing in a high level scrim is that the majority of plays in the early game are planned well ahead of time, some as early as Champion Select. These plays planned in Champion Select are something we'll talk about later in the video, but for now, the plays we'll be focusing on are the ones planned around slow pushes in side lanes. Now, a slow push in a side lane that starts in front of your tower can be stacked for up to 4 waves before it hits the enemy tower, but the vast majority of situations it will stack for just 3 waves instead. Also important to note is that anytime a wave crashes into your tower, a slow push will begin that forms just starting in front of your own tower. That gives you the ability to predict your exact wave state up to 90 seconds in the future, and then communicate this information with your team. You can see exactly this being done in this clip taken from the 2023 LEC Grand Final. Now, both bot lanes have been fighting a lot level 1, with almost all of the summoner spells in the lane being blown. Now, fast forward just a moment and we'll see a wave then crashes into red team's tower, and this is where our planning can begin. Red team knows that after this wave is cleared by their tower, it will begin to form a slow push. With their lane opponents having no summoner spells, this could form a dive opportunity coming up in the future, so they make sure to call up their jungler Gragas on the telephone and give him a 1 minute's heads up on their potential play. Now, fast forwarding exactly 1 minute, we get to see this play put into practice. Red team is level 3 versus blue team's level 2. They have a stacked up minion wave, and because they gave enough of a heads up to their teammate, their jungler Gragas is able to help them execute on an easy dive. But hold up just a second, so is blue team's mid laner Cassiopeia, and she's here to avenge her bot lane and trade back a kill. Let's rewind back to the initial wave crash. Now, because these are LEC players, blue team is also aware of this dive opportunity against them 1 minute in advance, so Varus and Braum make sure to call up their jungler to ask for some help to defend this dive. But Sejuani only has camps on the top side of the map, so she says no. But their mid laner Cassiopeia now has a 1 minute warning and can begin to stack up her own minion wave, and specifically, she times it to crash just 15 seconds before her bot lane gets dived. That way she has enough time to run down here and to defend them. This is the role of both jungle and mid in team play. They are the roles that are the facilitators of side lane slow pushes in the early game, but only if they are given enough information in advance. It's with aspects of team play like this where a solo queue player will be completely dismantled by a coordinated team, no matter how well they play individually. Now, for the first replay we're looking at, we're actually watching a scrim set from a Diamond 1 Nautilus player who is trialing for his first ever pro team. You're going to see that in this replay, despite Nautilus playing individually well and being a high-ranked player, he simply gets overshadowed by his opponent because he doesn't have the communication necessary to perform at high-level scrims, despite playing individually well. So as all replays have started off with since this video so far, it all starts with a wave crashing into a tower. Now that that wave's crashed into our tower, it's going to start a bounce, and it's going to turn into a slow push. And we all know what a slow push means. In coordinated team play, a slow push is an opportunity to plan out the next 1 minute of your gameplay. So this wave will start to build up, our wave will get bigger, we'll have opportunities to fight our opponent, and at 1 minute from now, 6 minutes 30, now let's remember that, at 6 minutes 30, we'll be crashing a big stacked wave into our opponent's tower, which is a potential opportunity. If they take bad trades, we can get a tower, but interestingly, blue buff is spawning. And we're crashing this wave just before that spawn timer, so we could pretty easily coordinate to show a bot, crash a wave, and take their blue buff. But let's see what happens. Now, this is where our replay starts to go wrong, and you can tell that our solo queue player here doesn't have the foresight to plan out a play like this ahead of time, because that's just not what you do in solo queue. And this is where you start to see things go sideways. So while we're stacking up a big wave bot lane, let's go see what our team is doing. Now, the mid and jungle are the two roles to look at for this, because they are the facilitating roles. They're the ones who show up on these stacked waves and try and facilitate whatever play we're going for. Now, with enough warning, jungler Xin Zhao could show up mid, and our LeBlanc is conveniently already stacking up a big wave. Now, if we both show up mid lane right now and we kill this wave together, we could have this mid wave dead at about 6:05, maybe 6:10 at the latest, meaning that we could start heading to bot lane right about now with our mid jungle. So now we can start running down bot lane. We have mid prio, we have level 6 LeBlanc, and we have Xin Zhao following close behind. And let's go see what's happening bot lane. Lucian and Milio are playing aggressive into a stacked wave. That is a mistake. You should never play aggressive into a stacked wave. This is not an advantageous position for them, and they're at risk of losing a ton of minions here. So look at what our Nautilus player does. Goes for a hook. This is an amazing hook. It's a really good hook. Hit the enemy AD carry, did so with a stacked wave inside of the minions with our AD carry close enough to follow with damage. And the enemy is trading a ton of health, and we're making the lane volatile at a moment where we want there to be volatility. We're making the enemy low on health when we have a stacking wave, and if we had planned it ahead of time, teammates on the way. Now let's look at the game time. 6 minutes 30. This is the exact timer that we would have told our teammates ahead of time to be showing up. So potentially, if we'd given enough warning, we have 4 people arriving bot lane right now. The enemy has no health, they have no mana, they have barely any summoners, and we have a giant stacked wave. Now, because of this hook and this trade we've taken with teammates on the way, this now becomes an opportunity to tower dive, and this tower dive will carry with it massive reward. But in reality, that's not what's going to happen at all. In reality, what should be an opportunity for a tower dive now turns into the enemy an opportunity to gank. Now, Xin Zhao's not here in time, and LeBlanc had no intention to come because she didn't receive a warning. But if they had been here, this is very obviously a winning 3v4, even a winning 3v3 with a stacked wave. But because our teammates aren't here to capitalize on this opportunity, it turns into an opportunity for our opponent. From their POV, we have a bouncing wave, we have no flash, and we're just an easy gank. This hook Nautilus made was in every way a good hook. In a solo queue setting, it's unlikely that his opponent would have had the coordination or foresight to use this wave bounce as a gank opportunity against him. But because we're in team play, they did. Now, as you can see, in high-level team play, every decision you make needs to be coordinated, because a disconnect like the one that happened this game between mid and bot lane can make even good plays turn into bad ones. There was simply no way for Nautilus to play this situation better, that he could even practice in a solo queue environment. The skills he needed to win this situation come from pre-planning and coordinating that plan with his team, something of which you could only learn by playing in pro-level games yourself, or by watching my coaching sessions I do with pro teams on my Patreon. Link in the description. This next SCRIMSET replay we have to look at is a really interesting one. You see, I used to coach the jungler of the blue team this match last year on his pro team, but now I'm coaching for the red team. And this concept of using these stacked wave crash and planning plays is not something that we'd covered yet at the point that they'd played this video. So it's interesting to see a player who knows all of this face a team who doesn't know how to use this wave stack to coordinate plays and the vast difference in how these waves are utilized. So as always, this replay starts off with a wave crashing into tower. Red team could communicate to their jungler, hey, we have a wave stack, it crashes in 1 minute. We have some opportunity here, could you help us crash it? And here, well, the entire bot side jungle's up, Xin Zhao's stronger in the 1v1, we could probably look for an invade on the bot side. Now, since Xin Zhao doesn't come because this wasn't communicated, we're a little bit scared here. We're playing a mobile champs against Nautilus. We could die to a gank, but luckily we get away with it. Good for us. But here's where things become interesting. As mentioned, blue team understands this, and I know they understood it because I taught it to them. And now when the wave stack begins, watch the difference in how they play compared to how red team plays. Blue team now has the knowledge their jungler's coming, so what they're going to immediately start doing is looking to trade as much as possible. They want to turn this opportunity into as big an opportunity as possible by trading, by burning damage, by burning summoner spells, and trying to create a potential dive opportunity because they know, hey, my jungler's coming, and potentially yours isn't if you haven't informed them. Now, our red team makes a bit of a mistake and takes too big of a trade. They lose all of their health, they lose all of their sums. Now, everything's about to come together. You see, red team's jungler is showing top lane right now. This wave stack hasn't been communicated. So from blue team's perspective, who coordinated their jungler to show up for the wave crash, this is a very easy opportunity. We've got a triple stacked wave, and the enemy jungler wasn't informed of this, so he showed top side at the same time as a crash. We very easily execute on a gank. It's a very clean 2-for-1. We can just sacrifice our support. Supports don't matter anyway. And we get 2 plates. We go up a ton of waves. And now the gap on bot lane is huge. We have a almost 1k gold lead at 5 minutes, just on our AD carry. We have a more than full level lead here. And this game is all but decided off of this planned play. Now, taking us back to our original replay of the Diamond 1 Nautilus player trialing for a pro team scrim, and you're going to see that the problems this game don't start in-game, but all the way back in Champion Select, and that's because of our bot side matchup. Now, playing a matchup like this with a melee versus range support, Nautilus into Melio, is a completely fine thing to do, but it carries with it a lot of caveats. This is something I've talked about in a previous replay review that I did on a T1 game where they played a similar matchup in the reverse, but the way these matchups play out is simple. The melee side needs to play for all-in and do anything possible to increase their kill threat, creating volatility. And we need to start by taking Ignite. Not taking Ignite when your sole win condition is to all-in your opponent, especially one who has inbuilt healing in their kit with Summoner Heal and Melio W, is a massive mistake. But putting that aside, our mistakes go even further. We've paired the melee support with Smolder. Pairing your melee support with a low damage ADC in a matchup where you have to all in before poked out isn't a great thing to do. We need a high damage AD carry with a stacking keystone like Lethal Tempo or Conqueror, not a low damage AD carry that scales, that takes something like Fleet Footwork, because they just simply won't have enough damage to facilitate the all-in until far too late into the lane, and by that point we've lost. But our problems are even more than that. This is already a matchup that should be very difficult because of what we've played, and because we didn't take Ignite, and we're going to require attention to help us get recalls and create the opportunity to hook forward, burn summoners, and increase our kill threat. But we're late invading topside towards a tank versus tank, Ornn versus Cassante matchup. That makes absolutely no sense. Our top matchup has little to no impact on the game, but our bot matchup should be the center of our universe. But what our jungler has elected to do is split the map towards topside, isolating this already difficult matchup into a 2v3 now because we're stuck on hard weak side without our jungler. Now, we will never have the ability to hook forward anymore. We're just going to lose push. Any time that we hook forward is going to be a bad idea because we have no kill threat in a 2v3 with these defensive subs. All right, we're not playing it perfectly, but the situation is just going to be difficult. The essence of this matchup is that it is by far a losing 2v2 in these early levels. The only way to make it a winning one is to burn summoners, is to gank, is to play aggressive, but we don't have the ability to do that, and that's where this happens. I mean, of course, we're trying to play aggressive on weak side with a low damage AD carry without the Ignite Summoner spell, and I mean, my jungler is just on the top side of the map doing crab, completely ignoring the needs of his bot side matchup. Now, this is again a part that won't matter in solo queue, because enemy jungler probably won't play around this, and the enemy might just reset for no reason in a matchup where they shouldn't. But in team play, against a team who understands the essence of these, what I call demanding matchups with a poke and an all-in side, it is always in your best interest to either block the all-in of the opponent until they're poked out, or in this case, facilitate the all-in of our bot lane, so that they can get their bases, go back to full HP, buy more damage, and be stronger in the all-in in later levels. Now, our Nautilus player went on to finish this game with a scoreline of 0 kills, 14 deaths. It would be easy to look at just this and say that he's bad and move on, but that's just not the case. Nautilus was given absolutely no chance to play the game from the very beginning. He was given an unplayable bot matchup due to his ADC's pick, made even harder by his team's decision to weak side him by late invading topside when he's in a bot lane matchup that needs to have attention given. Then in a later sequence, when his ADC finally has enough damage, and his bot lane has almost no summoner spells, and Nautilus has even a stacking miniwave, it was finally his chance to play the game and use his kill threat. But the moment he tried to hook forward, he again had been hard ignored by his mid laner and jungler, and he just simply died to a gank when he should have been stronger. Team play is all about creating winning situations, and in this game, Nautilus never once found himself in one of these. We can debate all day if this was his fault for not conveying his needs to his team, or if it should be the responsibility of his teammates to recognize these points themselves. But what can't be debated is that Nautilus' situation sucked. Sure, he probably could have played it better, but I'm sure that given a difficult situation like this, not many of us would have done much better than what he did. Now, our Nautilus player went on to win 2 more games in this SCRIMSET after this one, and in both of them, he played extremely well, being a huge reason as to why his team won both of these games. High elo solo queue players can, in many ways, hold their own against some of the best pro players out there on an individual level, and in a solo queue setting, there isn't much of a noticeable gap between these two. But it's with the tiny nuances of the game, like the ones that we spoke about in this video, that you can see the pro players will always pull ahead, and in the coordinated gameplay of team play, where every single decision you make needs to be pre-planned, this is where a pro player will always outshine their solo queue counterpart. Thank you for watching. As mentioned previously, you can watch the full recordings of my coaching sessions uploaded over on my Patreon, with at least 1 a week of these uploads being from sessions that I do with high elo teams. If you want to check these out, book your own coaching session with me, or even just come join my community for a casual game of League, you can find all of the links to this in the video description. Have a great day.